Welcome to today's webinar, an introduction to Safran Project version 7. My name is Richard Wood and I'll be your host today. I think we should crack off. We're on the hour and we have lots of people joining, so welcome everybody. Before we start, just a little housekeeping. We will be muting all lines during the webinar. So we really do want to receive any questions you might have, so please enter these into the chat box you'll see at the side of your screen. We'll then address these at the end of the webinar. There are also some handouts that you can get to go with the webinar, and you can download these from the GoToWebinar panel. They include a set of our best loved reports, one of the case studies we'll mention today, and a Safran Project brochure. So go ahead and do that, please. I work for Safran Software, where I help develop the international customer base, and I'd like to welcome everybody to today's webinar on Safran Project 7. We've got visitors today from many European countries: Australia, New Zealand, the Middle East, Malaysia, and the USA. So welcome everyone, and thank you for braving the time difference to join us where you're way out of UK time. I'd also like to introduce my co-presenter, Svein Myklebust, to you. Sven, who are you?
Well, I've been working planning and project controls in Norway, Denmark, and Saudi Arabia for the past 20 years, and now with Safran Project, or Safran Software Solutions, sorry.
Okay, thank you very much, Sven. So now I'd like to introduce our agenda for today. I want to use today to show you and to bring out what we call the unified approach to project control. This has been a vision of Safran for more than 20 years, and has helped many of our customers plan and deliver extremely complex projects consistently to time and to budget. But more of that a bit later on. I'll start by providing some background to the Safran view of the project management market, some of the dynamics we see in our everyday. Then we'll begin by exploring some of the customer successes we've seen flow from this unified approach to project control. I'll then show you what I mean by the term unified view, before Sven shows you SP7 or Safran Project 7 in action, and you'll see this unified vision at first hand. And finally, I will summarize, and we can both answer any questions raised during the session from the chat box. So, what are the dynamics we see in the project control space today? Well, a recent study concluded that 65% of projects over $1 billion fail, and likewise 35% of projects under $500 million fail as well. But I can hear you all saying to yourselves, here we go again, more statistics to tell us how our projects fail and that we need to be better at controlling them. And a lot of presentations start off in exactly this way, I know. But of course, we've all seen such statistics for many years. So I've got to ask you, why, if that's the case, can we not, as a community, improve these results? Why do we keep seeing these statistics? Well, I want to explore that today and see if we can come up with a solution. By failing, however, what I mean is that a project that is at least 25% over budget or late by at least 50% from the planned schedule. So they're quite big numbers. 25% over budget or 50% from planned timings is a lot of difference. Both of these factors have a significant impact on the project's ROI, of course. Researchers at McKinsey studied 48 struggling mega projects and found that in 73% of the cases, poor execution was responsible for cost and time overruns. The other 27%, however, ran into issues with politics, new governments, legal problems. So these are not necessarily variables that can easily be predicted or managed from within the project. However, in a recent Accenture study, it was found that the #1 most common current trend and ambition of asset-intensive companies was deploying a common tool set with consistent data. Lack of standardization and a simple common approach to projects in an organization was a critical factor in delivery and execution problems, and partly responsible, therefore, for the 73% of failures to deliver to time and budget. And this is something we can control. In effect, a unified approach to project delivery. At Safran, we've known this for many years, and our vision has been to develop a single tool to manage complex schedules without the need for integration to third-party applications or additional software, and ensuring a simple and easy-to-use process. We'll see in a minute what this unified approach looks like. Our customers manage all aspects of their project planning, scheduling, and execution successfully with our one toolset, without the need for additional schedule management software. And this answers the requirement defined by Accenture here exactly. And we've been doing this for over 20 years. So let's take a quick look at some of these customers I'm talking about. Well, the Statoil Gudrun platform took 16.5 million man-hours to build. Statoil was the owner-operator, and Able was the EPC, and Safran was in use by all involved, both the EPCs and the owner-operator, and it came in after 16.5 million man-hours to time and budget. Of course, there was plenty of scope change involved, but Safran helped manage that very carefully. Similarly, at a hospital in Oslo, the Ahus Hospital in Oslo, took 5 years to build. It was very complex because it wasn't just the building, it was also all of the medical equipment, the operating rooms, and all the facilities which had to be implemented at the same time. And finally, one of our customers is Oslo Airport, and they're just building an additional terminal which is going to cost $1.8 billion and take 6 years to build, completing next year. But this is an airport in operation at the moment, so the logistics of building this new terminal are really quite significant. There are 30 large contracts, and Safran is being used to manage those by all of the prime contractors, or most of the prime contractors, and the owner-operator, but also producing a master plan for the airport using Safran's integrated master planning functionality. Scope changes during execution are carefully managed using the power of Safran to drive scenario and impact analysis and to see immediate impact on the contracts. You can download this case study and others from the website also. So, let's take a look at what we mean by this single unified approach to project control. Simply put, we mean that all you need to effectively plan, schedule, and manage all change in execution of a highly complex project is in one application. You don't need to go anywhere else for risk, earned value, variation order control, contract management, or full reporting. So our strategy is to include all project governance in one application, avoiding the need for integration and different modules. All functionality is driven by one schedule, and that makes the planning and execution functions quick to learn, easy to use, and overall performance is much enhanced. Also, the cost of owning and deploying Safran Project is far less than most of our competitors. Functionality, as you can see here, includes planning and scheduling, of course, but risk analysis with a full Monte Carlo analysis, variation order control, earned value, and perhaps the most significant asset is the Safran reports. These are world-leading operational reports, including all needed histograms and S-curves, and are driven within the one product from the one schedule, with immediate effect when changes are made. So why is this important? Well, having everything there in one schedule makes performance lightning fast. It makes scenario planning, impact analysis with embedded risk very easy and quick to do. In fact, it can be done interactively in board meetings and with sponsors, avoiding the need to conduct such an analysis of options separately to return later. Our philosophy is that project management tools should help the project by allowing the planners, project managers, and management to focus their efforts on value-added activities, not getting bogged down in software. Here you can see a histogram S-curve report showing progress on the recent hospital construction project we looked at. The project director recently highlighted this report as a key part of the project's success. Having visibility into and control over how the project progresses is, of course, key. You'll see later how such reports are easily created and disseminated in Safran Project 7 during the demonstration. Another example of something we feel is missing from a lot of mega projects today is integrated schedule risk analysis. Not utilizing SRA reduces the understanding of how risk factors impact the project schedule. Deterministic forecasts of cost and duration are never accurate. One of the important and critical features of embedded risk is that it democratizes risk across the whole project community, making all forecasts consistently more accurate and saving a great deal of time and cost. At Safran, we've got several projects, but we are unique in that they all conform to the same unified vision we have seen and all work together on the same project database. Safran Project is our flagship tool set, but we also have a lighter version called Planner, operating on the same data and providing a lighter weight view that can be used concurrently with Project. Statoil, for example, mix and match both across their standard corporate desktop. This raises the accuracy of the total planning and execution activity across the whole company. Safran Risk is a complementary tool for project risk analysis professionals. We also support these flagship tools with browser-based capabilities for reporting, progress updating, and a full set of integration capability. But today we'll be focusing on our flagship tool, Safran Project. All of this capability means that our customers can effectively manage the full spectrum of activity, from routine maintenance and work order leveling and optimization to capital projects and shutdowns and turnarounds. In addition, however, at Safran, we've developed an integrated planning process that enables the production of a master integrated plan that consolidates all these disparate activities and allows optimization and reporting across all levels at a high level. Many of our customers obtain significant cost and time benefit from this feature. So before we look at SP7 with Sven, let me first quickly introduce Safran as a company to you. For those of you who do not know Safran, we've provided project management software solutions for over 20 years. A key differentiator of Safran is our focus on complex projects in asset-intensive industries. We've got thousands of users leveraging our tools on some of the largest and most complex projects in the world in verticals such as oil and gas, engineering, construction, utilities of all kinds, and aerospace and defense. These companies of all sizes across the asset-intensive space use Safran's unified view of project control to deliver world-class projects and manage project risks. Projects include some of the largest turnarounds ever attempted. For example, for ConocoPhillips in the North Sea, as well as smaller projects that companies and people are responsible for delivering every day. So let me hand over to Sven for a first-hand look at unified project management with SP7. Over to you, Sven.
I'm going to run through the menus, working with the schedule, change register, schedule risk, and reports. And try to get this over to my screen now. Hope you all can see my screen. This is how an open project in Safran Project looks like. So let's start by running through the menus. The file menu for opening, closing, saving, so on, pretty much like the menus in Microsoft, with a couple of additions. One of them are import export. You can import complete schedules from Safran, Project or Planner, also from older versions. And you can as well import Primavera and Microsoft project schedules. On top of that, you can import activities, links, resources, progress, report configuration, layouts, editor histograms, and filter. The whole menu, this contains tools for working with the schedule on a daily basis, new activities, linking, layouts, filters, and so on. The data menu digs a little bit deeper in the setup of the project. We got the setup for calendars, resources, that gives you the opportunity to plan down to individuals if you want to, or just keep it simple and use hours and costs. We got user fields, and we find reference fields and outline code that can be predefined for your project or your company. And of course, you can set up a mix of those and use some for reporting internal and other for reporting against the customer from the same schedule. We also find a number of fields for text, dates, numbers, duration, and flags that can be used to store information against each activity. We find symbol sets for the bar chart editor, change register that we will get back to, overview of documents linked to activities, integrated plan that allows you to import different schedules internally or from contractors and show them in integrated reports for the total project or group of projects. This import also can be done for Primavera and Microsoft project schedules. We got the view menu. The choices here are pretty much the working tools for setting up the bar chart editor and for working with the bar chart editor. We got project. This contains setup where you decide where you want to decide how your project behaves when it comes to calculation, as well as tools for status update, baseline, resource leveling, and so on. And one of my favorite, the reports. We got a nice collection of reports that will give you a good overview over the project. We will look into a couple of those later. In addition to this, we got the quick access toolbar for some of the menu items that you use more often, so you don't have to change the main menu to find this. On a daily basis, the planner would do most of the work at home, the home menu and the view menu, and of course a project menu for cutoffs. We aim to give you as much information as possible available at any time when you are working with a project. The panes at bottom of the bar chart editor helps a lot with this, so let's look through those. We got the activity information. Here we got all the information connected with the activity, such as dates, duration, as well as information fields related to the activity. We got the link pane. All the information you need about links against the activities, including calendars and free float. A nice feature here is if you want to see where the predecessor is, double click and you are at the predecessor. If you want to go to a successor, double click and you are at the successor. We got resources. This one is grayed out. This tells me that this project has locked scope on. This means that you can't do any changes to the scope without adding a variation order. You can, of course, do changes to dates and durations, but not to the scope. So if you have to do a change to the scope, you have to do it through a variation order. And this is one of those variation orders here. Changing grouping can be done through the activity information, the reference fields, or you can do it by drag and drop. So if I want project complete to be part of milestones instead of administration, I just do it like this. And it changes the milestone down here as well. Very easy on an everyday basis. I'm not going to dig into details here, but I'll go with one of my favorite features that I really want to show. This is for highlighting special activities. So I set up a filter here that picks up anything with a constraint on. Start no earlier, finish no earlier, and so on. Anything that fits with this filter will get a red text and a yellow background. So let's try it. And we got two activities with constraints here. That's nice planning, not too many constraints. This can also be used for behind schedule, no successor, over budget, and so on. Pretty much use fantasy or sets the limits here. And it gives a much better view of things that you want to highlight than using filter, because then you lose the rest of the information. When it comes to symbols, just to mention that symbols can be set up according to your wishes, including different colors for phases or disciplines and things like that, done by filters. And that the summary bars can be set up to show details instead of one long bar, so you can get it to cut off where the work is planned on each group level. And you can add information such as non-working time, curtains for special time frames if you got turnaround or whatever, horizontal grids to make the schedule easier to read, and so on. When someone starts wondering what if you change the schedule and do it this way or that way, You tend to end up with several different schedules, numbering them from 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. In Safran Project, you can do all this inside the schedule you already have created. You can add a schedule based on the one you are working on, and then change it to fit the other scenario. And when you decided which scenario you want to use, you can go to the home menu and schedule juggler and just decide, okay, we're running with this schedule from now on. This schedule then inherits all the history that you need to, or all the history of the project that will show in reports and so on further on. I mentioned the change register. We'll find that here on the data. They define 4 different types of changes. Variation order, of course. This is a change that's approved by the customer. Variation order request, then it's hopefully sent to the customer. Internal change, for things that you should have done and haven't put into the schedule, or moving into the scope, or moving man hours from one activity to another and end up with a null sum. And subcontracted, if you, instead of doing it yourself, subcontract it and change it to a different resource, or to cost instead of man hours. All created change orders can be moved in between this, so it can start as an internal change, and then somebody decides we can ask this to be included in the scope and get paid for it. So you can just move it up to be variation request instead. How this affects the progress, the performance, and so on is decided by the setup of the total project. You can include them, or you can exclude change orders and internal changes. So it depends on the contract we're running on. A little bit about risk. To run a schedule risk, you first have to go into risk mode. It's an old one down here. And then you go to project. You can perform risk and do a detailed setup, or you can, as I'm going to do now, do a quick risk. This sets up the same possible distribution for all the activities instead of performance. The detailed one that will give you a possibility to differ. We just run the analysis, and now it's done. And we got the histogram here can be shown for each activity, for a group, or for the total project, or total schedule at least. Of course, this can be printed as a report, and we can change scaling and the histogram. Oh, it's a nice histogram. On to reports. I'm going to show you 4 different reports here. Starting with the histogram. We've got one with budgets per discipline here. And it's stacked. This is total workload, and it's stacked on discipline. A lot of piping going on at first. Piping engineering, I hope. And we got the S-curve on top of that. You can also do this one page at a time. This is by phase, engineering first. Next page is prefabrication. We got completion at zero, and we got installation. As you see here, you can stack on top of doing the page, one for each page. And you can do it by line per phase. Engineering coming up here, prefabrication, and then we got completion at shore. Crossing there, this could be a sign that we should look into this. It could be correct. That's all that's all that you got do completion on is done by that date, but it's a nice sign that you have to look into this. Another type of report is the performance chart. This one is set up with the factors that we usually use in Norway. It's easy to switch around and use index instead. It shows pretty much the inverse of what we're seeing here. We got a bullseye chart that tells something about the total health of the project. This one is really nice. It's ahead of schedule and under budget. Wasn't that nice at the start. So the trend here is very nice, and we always talk about trend. One point doesn't tell that much. Trends tells pretty much all. And we got the last one I'm going to show you is progress summary. This is a sum up of everything that's going on the project. This one is pretty detailed. It's down to activity level. So we start with which scope we are working against, the periodic data, cumulative, and if you want, next period. All this is pick and choose from a list. And if you do this in a group of project, you can go up to one line for each project, or anything between that, as long as you got the reference field or outline code to group it against. When it comes to printing reports, all who have done this in the old system know that you can sit for an hour and print a lot of reports. Well, we got the system to do this for us. We got something called report package. This is drag and drop, so if I want to project status over here, I just drag it over there, or if I don't want it, take it away. And if I want just to park something for a shorter while, remove the tick, and it won't be part of the package. You can run the package from here. You can run it to your printer, or you can save it as PDF. And you can schedule it to run whenever you want. So you can do all your reporting when you're at home sleeping. Also a quick run through, but what's what we planned today. So I think I'll leave both the screen and the microphone back to Richard.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed. Can I get presentation rights back? There we go. Excellent. Thank you. Okay. So thank you, Sven. That was a good demonstration of SP7. So I hope that everyone now on the call can see what I mean by the term single unified project control. SP7 includes in a single approach all the reporting we just looked at, embedded democratization of risk, as we call it, to ensure much more accurate forecasting against any scale of project, fast and powerful interactive scenario planning and impact analysis, including impact on contractors and earned value, and variation order that we looked at against scope changes. But also it's worth noting that Safran uniquely maintains a full history of all transactions. Many of our competitors don't do that, so we can go back and look at past baselines and past transactions and report on those as well, all within a single product. So it's a very fast tool to deploy and very cost effective to buy, because you just need the one tool. You don't need anything else to support it. So I hope that makes it clear. What I'd like to do now, excuse me, is just go and see what questions we have in the chat box. Let me just have a look. Anybody has a question, do please send it in. I've got one here, actually obviously from an SAP user. On one of the slides there was a mention of integration. Can you just expand on that a little bit? Does it integrate with SAP? So, okay, yeah, that's a good question. We didn't really cover that today, excuse me, but we do have an integrated product that we've developed with SAP and in fact with Vesta partners, which has been available about 6 months or so, which is a very fast integration between Safran Project 7 and SAP itself. And we've got, it's on trial in a couple of companies where it's doing very well. And we recommend it as the best approach to integrate Safran with SAP. It's fully certified, and in fact SAP helped us scope it, helped us develop it. So there's another question here actually, which I think we've probably covered, but we might want to just roll back on. Sven, this may be one for you. How easy are reports to configure, and can new reports be easily added? So I don't know if you want to answer that for me. I think we've covered it, but just to underline that.
Well, the easiest way is just to showing how you can do it.
Okay. Do you want to grab presentation rights? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take it back and just show you for
okay.
a simple report. Let's take the histogram. Press new, and define the entries. I want to start with the baseline, plan early, and I want a bar for live plan early, and I want a bar for earned is nice. I want this to have this layout, same for that one, same for that one. Baseline, I want it blue, and I want it in the same cluster. And we do preview. And this is the report. Of course, this lacks information at the top and things like this that you would put in if you make it a formal report. But when I use Safran Project, I often make reports like this just for myself to check the schedule. So
Great,
it's as simple as that, and then you can take it from there with stacking and everything. But this is a simple report made in.
Okay, brilliant. That does look simple. Thank you. I hope that answers the question. And of course, you can then easily put those reports back into the report package if you want to. Okay, thank you. So what else? What other questions do we have in the chat box here? Is this a tool just used for planners and project managers? Well, no, I mean, we did have a look earlier at the various products that Safran has, and our philosophy is very much to democratize. It's a word we use a lot, democratize the ownership of projects through a company, particularly an asset-intensive company, an engineering type of company. So we try and make tools that will touch everybody, and everybody can own and enjoy and make use of the investment that companies made in their projects, whether they're routine operational maintenance projects or whether they're significant capital expenditures. And so we have Planner, which is a lightweight tool. We have a browser-based tool that can touch projects for reporting and progress updating and so on. So no, I would say it definitely isn't a tool for planners, just for planners and project managers. It's intended to democratize that investment in projects across the whole of the company. What sectors does Safran serve in total? I think we covered that earlier on, actually, but the sectors that we cover are really anywhere where there is intensive use of projects, complex projects. And of course, we can be used for very simple projects. We tend to find in our customers that they start using us for the complex end of their project work. And projects is sometimes not the word that's used if it's more of a routine runtime maintenance environment, but nevertheless we can optimize work orders and things in a maintenance environment. Customers tend to use us to start with in that area, but then we'll often take one of our lighter weight tools like Planner and put it out across all desktops in the company, just so that anybody doing any sort of rudimentary planning can use a proper planning tool rather than try and use Excel or one of our other lighter weight competitors. And the beauty of that, of course, is that the data produced by our Planner tool, our lightweight tool, is usable immediately, concurrently with Safran Project. So in an environment where non-planners might start a project rolling, start to plan something, and that ultimately grows to the point where it needs a bit of professional planning help, there's no change to the data. It rolls straight across into Safran Projects. I hope that answers it. Rather a long-winded way, probably. I hope that answers that question.
I've got a little comment there. The interface on Project and Planner are so much the same that you have to look twice to see which one you're working with. So if you know one environment, then it's really easy to see.
Thank you, sir. Which makes it easier to train and implement across a wide variety of companies. Many companies we start working with are using a lightweight planning tool on their desktops and a more complex one for their complex projects, and they're two completely different vendors, different projects, and moving data between one and the other is not always particularly accurate. That's good. How much does it cost? Oh, that's a great question, and one that I hate getting on a webinar. But all I will say to that, and I'm happy to price anything, any specific needs for anybody, but what I will say to that is we make a point of pricing against our significant competition for complex projects at around the same sort of area. So we're in the same sort of price as our main competitor, which has got to be Primavera. Most of you will know that product. However, the difference is a unified approach to project management means you get everything you need to manage a project in that one price, in that one product called Safran Project. Whereas with some of our competitors, you then need to add on other products, other modules at increased expenditure. So if you compare like for like, we're actually quite a lot cheaper than most of our competition. Quite a lot of questions here. What else have we got on the chat box? I think we'll limit it to just a few more, but are there any existing customer references for shutdowns and turnarounds? This is a very specific utilities or oil and gas question, but nevertheless, for outages, for shutdowns, for turnarounds, we've got more customer references than you can shake a stick at, to be honest. So we've got lots of them. So this is a very comfortable area for us. So if I can see who's asked the question, but I won't embarrass you in front of everybody. If you want to contact me directly afterwards, richard.wood@safran.com. I can explore your exact context and put you in touch with a good reference in that area of outages for utilities. Is SP7 available on SAP's HANA platform? Again, an SAP-driven question, of course. And yes, we are available on HANA. We've been available on HANA, not HANA Cloud, to be fair, but on HANA on-premise. We've been available for, I think it's probably a year now or so, and a lot of interest in our product. What we're finding is a lot of SAP customers who are using some of our competition to manage complex projects, but like to use SAP-sponsored products more than that, are turning to us to trial our integrator and Safran Project on some of the larger projects to check that it is everything I say it is. And we're moving now into a sales delivery mode with some of those clients, particularly in aerospace and defense for some reason, where they have big engineering projects that need a high level of governance, which we can provide, and where they want to run the maximum of governance inside SAP, but recognize the need to drop out of SAP into a focused optimization of some sort, and that's what we represent for them. So I think we've probably answered most of the questions now. I don't see, there's one on optimizing resources. Let's make this our last question. And Sven, you might want to help me here. You mentioned optimizing resources. Can you tell me a little bit more detail how it does that? I don't know if you want to pick up an answer to that immediately, Sven.
Well, when I do the planning, I tend to optimize as I go along by using the histogram that's always live. That's kind of my approach.
Okay.
There are some automation that you can use, but well, depends on what you are planning and how you like to do it.
Okay, that's fair.
That's cover both ways. So
that's a good answer from a planner, I think. So what I would say is, of course you're right. You need to be careful how you optimize resources. It's a big area, a subject all in its own right. I would simply add to that one of our aerospace and defense customers is trialing Safran now to resource level against some very, very complex engineering loaded schedules, because this particular customer has very complex manufacturing environment. They have within these complex projects scarce resources in a number of critical areas, and these areas can be space on the shop floor, they can be equipment, particular types of expensive equipment, and they can also be people, particular types of electrician actually. And so it's very important that this complex schedule is leveled against those scarce resources, so you're getting the most out of those resources, you're not leaving them on the bench, and you're finishing the project as quickly as you can, given that some of those resources are potentially a constraint on the critical path. So Safran does that very, very well and very, very fast. But as Sven, I think, was hinting, you need to be quite careful how you deploy such technology. But this company is trialing it very successfully. Okay, well, unless anyone has any immediate chats to jump in with now, I think we're probably reaching the end of this webinar. It's been fun. I've enjoyed talking to you. Thank you for joining us. If you want to learn more about Safran, by all means contact myself, richard.wood@safran.com. Visit our website, and on our website you'll find lots of lots of videos to look at, or you can visit YouTube itself and search on Safran software, where you'll see, again, lots of material that you can immerse yourself in. But do contact me or contact sales@safran.com if you would like to get more detail or have a personalized demonstration. So, thank you, Sven, for your help today. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I'm going to finish the webinar now, but do please join us on our website and contact me directly if you need anything. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye for now.